Lacob, hey, Joe, how'd you feel after you guys traded for Chris Paul?
Sort of my first reaction to it was, huh? Just like you, like most people. But it sat with me for a week or two. We were discussing it. We had different options we were looking at. And then it really became a potential idea when he was traded to Washington. He wasn't going to stay there. And we just thought about it, and we just said, this kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So it at first, just like you, I was sort of questioning it. And I have a lot of co-owners, friends and whatever, to this day, they come up to me and say, really? Chris Paul? Yeah. They get upset. And the truth is, I think they're all going to be won over.
Well, the other truth is he was listening to the show, clearly. And over the course of a week, I sold him on it.
But I'll tell you what, it sounds like Mike Dunleavy didn't have to get him to sign off to make that move.
One more time.
He said when he found out, he was like, huh? So Dunleavy had the power to kind of facilitate that deal without, hey, boss, this is what I'm thinking about.
No.
That's how I took that.
No, I took it as though they brought up the idea of Chris Paul. And he went, huh. And then he said over the course of a week or so, they thought more about it and talked more about it. And they thought, it may work. But his first thing was, huh? So.
And some friends said, basically, what are you guys doing?
We do chuckle about the scooter, but you do have to I want you to be careful on that thing. I've never said anything more honestly in my life.
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I almost got hit. Steiny, I came down. And
what would you think about a helmet? And I'm not being
well, then I'm out. Yeah. I'm out.
All right. Be careful, buddy. Yeah. Be careful.
Dude, I had to brake fast.
So it was Chris Paul, and then over the course of a couple weeks after he got traded to Washington, and then you could get Travis Schlenk, who used to work with the Warriors, on the horn, and they have a relationship, and Chris Paul's here.
People saying Loon should get a statue. I'm with that.
Well, you know what?
No, I'm saying, what are you? Come on now.
Okay, Goo. This is why I love you, but also that's why I love you. Kevon Looney is not getting a statue, nor does he deserve a statue. He averages 6 points a game.
Oh, so you're the guy. It's all about points.
It's about legacy. And I don't know if I want to get into this, but my feeling on these statues is there should be one statue. Steph Curry.
So
That's
Bird,
it.
The Magic, Kareems, the Jordans.
Yeah.
Not the Pippins.
Because I just think that okay, what about Draymond? What about Clay? Well, then what about Durant? What about Iguodala? Like, there's not, the biggest separation is between Steph and everybody else.
And I got that from Brandon Ayuk, not Ayuk, on the YouTube chat, Steiny. I guess it's a compliment for Looney. You know what? You're right. There probably won't be a statue, but for any Dub fan to say, Loon deserves one, he brings his hard hat. His job is not scoring. I won't run down his resume, but he's an anchor. He gives you all that he has, man.
Yeah, he does. The other thing about the statue thing is statue's different than retiring a number. Statue's bigger than retiring a number. So you can still retire.
I agree with that.
You can still retire Draymond Green's number and Klay Thompson's number. You can do that. Statues are.
So you're saying once you get too many, it loses its.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's just the way I feel. That's just the way I feel. Chris Paul. Let me ask Warrior fans this, because now you've had a time to let it all sink in. So here's what I want to know from Warrior fans. If you were out on Chris Paul or didn't like it, the move 6 weeks ago or whenever it was, do you feel any differently now? Do you feel any differently now? Do you feel like, Chris Paul, he may be the difference or a big piece of the difference between last year's team that exited in the second round and this year's team that wants to go further? Is Chris Paul, how big of a missing piece is Chris Paul, if at all? 888-957-9570. What do you think, Goo?
Stylistically, I'm going to give it a chance. I want to watch because I don't believe it can work. I believe teams could take advantage of when he's out there with the rest of the starters you mentioned. They could be small. I keep hearing, oh, Chris Paul's going to do this for Steiny and Evan, but what's Chris Paul going to do for Chris Paul? Like, what if you need that bucket? I'm not saying he can't give you any points, Steiny, but the Chris Paul I've watched over the last few years, I'm just like, I don't know if he has that for him to be the best version of himself. But when I hear the owner talk, Steph Curry, Draymond, I'm like, okay, let's go. And the one thing that I have processed, and I mean this, last year, I don't want to say romper room, but I told you I was disappointed in the Warriors culture. And it seems like right now this dude is bringing all his experience, all his leadership, and he is the Elmer's glue to bring this thing back to where it needs to be on and off the court. So I cannot wait for Tuesday. I cannot wait for Monday for us to be out there and just soak in some of that aura and that good juju before opening night. So let's go. And Steiny, I'm going to be real with you. I think we're going to know in a month. We're going to know in a month if this thing can work. I don't think we got to wait to the All-Star break. And I know I'm quick to come up with this is what I think it's going to be, but I think we're going to know soon if this was the right move and if it can work.
I wonder how fast it'll take to know. Because if you're only giving it a month, then you expect it to click right away.
Yeah.
And it's asking a lot for an important player who handles the ball so much. And keep in mind, they're going to have to adjust to his style of play and vice versa for sure. I want to read something to you, though, from The Athletic. John Hollinger. Here's what he says about Chris Paul. He says, oh, boy.
You need your readers. I was like, boy.
Anyway, he says that essentially reports of Chris Paul's demise are a little bit premature, is what he said.
Good news, then.
Golden State, here it is. Despite playing 2 NBA Warriors best hope for, you know what? I can't find it. My bad. I'll find it during the break.
But he's saying he ain't washed.
Choke artist.
Yeah, he's saying he ain't washed.
Yeah, that's what Hollinger was saying. He was saying he's still probably a better defensive player right now than Curry or Clay on the perimeter. Chris Paul might be who's the best small Warrior at keeping a guy in front? Because that was a huge problem last year.
Can Moody be an answer? Gary Payton II?
Yeah, Payton could be. Yeah.
I'd give it to him.
Payton II.
And Moody is not too far behind.
Yeah, he is. He's behind Kuminga. Kuminga's a better on-ball defender.
Let's put the right on the table. Brought to you by ADCO.
Well, he's giving 2 tickets out today at the Warriors Summit.
Yeah, look at you.
Hey.
Lacob also mentioned how that's a threes, Badoni. They're taking this preseason. It's important.
Joe is. Joe's taking it serious.
But my point is the biggest beneficiary of the preseason thus far has been Kuminga. But will we see that Kuminga Tuesday night? Are they like, here's the throne, son. Take it. We ain't giving you ain't Steph. You know what I'm saying?
Well, then why would you give him a throne? But a throne is for a king.
Well, they're giving him the license to go get all the rebounds that he can.
Well, he has always had that license
but
to
now
go rebound.
I think he knows, that's the area that you need to go.
Oh, and
that's better than buckets right now, JK.
Oh, he just found that out.
No, it's about now I think he's figured out the puzzle. If I can do that, I'm going to stay on the floor.
Over who?
Well, that TBD.
I love the move now. Great fit, 650 on the Comcast Business text line. Another one. It feels like wishful thinking that Chris Paul is going to make the difference this year. But this gentleman also, a woman, I think a healthy Andrew Wiggins is a bigger difference than Chris Paul. You might be right on that. I don't have a problem with that statement.
Yeah, and that came up with the guys too. They asked him about Wiggins' absence, and Lacob had spoke to that. Like, I know it happened. We don't need to revisit it, but if you ask me what went wrong last year, a lot of stuff did. But during the season, that Andrew Wiggins, number 22, his absence, it hurt. And when he came back, I never thought they got their mojo back as far as guys knowing, okay, I need to go back and do my regular role, you know?
Exactly. And I think Kuminga felt the brunt of it because Kuminga was playing more when Wiggins was out, and then Wiggins came back and boom, he was right back to his same role